bruise, right?
Yes,
You know it was on her left collarbone, right?
that's right.
You know it was a half circle, true?
That's right.
It measured 2.25 centimeters in diameter, correct?
Yes,
So that's a measurement to the millimeter, isn't it?
it is.
Now, I'm holding up Exhibit 17, the hiking staff. Sir, this has a circular bottom, correct?
It does.
Doctor, what's the size of this circular bottom?
It measures 2.25 centimeters.
2.25 centimeters. Again, a measurement to the millimeter, right?
Yes,
It's a measurement that perfectly matched the bruise on Parker's collarbone, true?
the size of it, or rather the width of it did.
Thank you, sir. No further questions at this time.
All right, thank you.
Does that prompt any redirect?
No redirect examination. I just asked that Dr. Lopez may be allowed to step down.
All right, you're excused. Thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you.
Does the defense want to call a third witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Jordan Ryder.
All right.
May I proceed?
You may.
Would you please introduce yourself to the members of the jury?
My name is Jordan Ryder.
Ms. Ryder, why are you testifying today?
I'm here because of my daughter, Parker. She died 2 years ago, and the police are blaming me for her death.
Ms. Ryder, did you kill your daughter?
Absolutely not. Parker was the most important person in my life. I would never hurt her.
So why did you bring Parker to the campground that weekend?
I was trying to keep Parker safe from my sister, Corbin.
Why did you need to keep your daughter safe from Corbin?
Well, I'm not proud of it, but I was in prison for part of Parker's childhood, and while I was away, I made my sister her legal guardian so she could take care of Parker. But when I got out, I saw that Corbin's apartment was a mess. There were beer bottles everywhere, there were
Objection,
pill
Your Honor.
bags.
Rule 403. All right, we're back at this one. What is your response?
Your Honor, this directly goes to the motivation of Ms. Ryder to bring her daughter to the Calkins campground. She just testified that she brought her to the campground to keep her safe from her sister. It's important that the jury understands what exactly the conditions of that home were so that they can determine whether or not it was reasonable for Ms. Ryder to bring her daughter to the campground.
All right.
May I respond?
Nope, I'm going to overrule your objection. We're not saying that Corbin Dallas was the one who drank out of those cans and bottles. So she can testify to what the state of the house was, and the jury can take it from what weight they will.
Yes, Your Honor. So what were the conditions of that house?
It seemed really unsafe. Corbin would say things to Parker like, "You're not my kid, I wish you'd never been born." I
Objection, Your
had to
Honor.
get Parker out of that house.
Once again, under Rule 403, the statements of Corbin Dallas.
Okay.
These again just go to lay foundation for why Ms. Ryder took her daughter to that campground. This goes to the weight, not the admissibility of the testimony. The jury can weigh whether or not they think these warrant Ms. Ryder taking her daughter to the campground.
Overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did Corbin say to Parker?
She would say things like, "You're not my kid, I wish you'd never been born." I knew that house was not a safe place for Parker to live.
Did you get Parker out of that house?
I did. The night of the 13th, July 13th, I packed Parker's things and we left. We were going to a different state, a different country. I didn't really know, but I had to get Parker away. I thought maybe we could spend a few days at the campground while I planned the next step.
Did you ever take any notes of your plans to get away?
I did. I was writing some things down on a napkin that morning.
Would you recognize it if you saw it today?
I would.
I'm approaching opposing counsel and Ms. Ryder with Exhibit 26. Your Honor, would you like a copy?
I'll take one if it's in evidence.
What is this?
This is that napkin I was writing on that morning?
Is that your handwriting on?
Yes,
Does it look to be fair and accurate?
yes, it does.
The defense offers Exhibit 26.
Any objections?
Without objection.
All right, it is admitted.
Your Honor, would you like a copy at this time?
Take the one that's the witness just identified.
All right, I'll give it to you right after she's done talking about it, if that's okay. So, Ms. Ryder, can you tell us what this note means?
Sure. After I left Corbin's house, I was worried that she was going to call the police because I didn't have custody of Parker. So this is what I was thinking of telling the police if they'd asked why I'd taken Parker away. That I was so angry at how Corbin was treating her, that it was all my fault for leaving her alone with Corbin, that I didn't mean to make Parker unsafe. But in the end, I just wanted them to think that we were missing and never coming back. So I circled missing.
Thank you, Ms. Ryder. I can take that from you. Here you go, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So I want to move to July 14th. When did you get to the campground that day, excuse me?
It was around noon, and we started hiking a couple hours later.
How'd the hike go?
It started out okay. As soon as we got on the trail, though, I looked down at my phone and I realized I didn't have any service. And that's when Parker looked down at her phone and realized she didn't have any service either.
Objection, Your Honor. The hearsay to the statements of Parker Page.
May I respond?
Yes.
These fall under an exception to hearsay under Rule 8031, a present sense impression. Ms. Ryder just testified that Parker looked down at her phone and then said she didn't have service. Parker's seeing something and then immediately describing what she saw.
Sounds like present sense impression. Maybe you have a reason it's not.
Yes, Your Honor. A present sense impression is for describing an event or condition. This is a statement of fact. This is an observation made by Parker. It doesn't fall into that exception.
All right, overruled.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can keep talking about that hike.
As I was saying, when Parker looked down at her phone and realized she didn't have service, she said she wanted to go back to the campsite. And while she was looking down, she sort of stumbled. So I asked if she was okay, and she said she was fine, but I told her that she should put her phone away so that she could pay attention. And that's when she got pretty frustrated at me.
What do you mean she got frustrated at you?
It was normal teenage stuff. She kept saying, "Leave me alone, I hate you, I'm fine." She kept saying that she was mad that she couldn't talk to her friends. And when I made her put her phone away, she started to drag the hiking stick and poke me with it.
How do you react?
Well, I told her that she should use her hiking stick to walk, but she said she wasn't a baby, she didn't need it anymore. So I took the hiking stick from her.
Did you and Parker finish that hike?
We did. We got back later that afternoon.
Do you remember what time you got back?
I'm not sure exactly. I just know that as soon as we got off the trail, Parker pulled out her phone and started texting one of her friends.
Would you recognize the text messages she sent if I showed them to you?
I would.
I'm approaching Ms. Ryder and opposing counsel with Exhibit 27. Can you tell us what that is?
These are the text messages I saw Parker sending.
Does this look to be fair and accurate?
It does.
The defense offers Exhibit 27.
Any objections?
No objections.
So admitted.
Can you tell us what time these messages were sent?
It says that she sent one at 3:15. That's when we started the hike. And as I was saying, there wasn't service on the trail. So she didn't send another until 4:38 p.m.
What happened when you and Parker got back to your campsite?
When we got back to the campsite, Parker said that she was going to leave and go take some pictures of the sunset before it got dark.
What happened after Parker left?
I started to clean up dinner, and I waited for her to come back. I waited 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Did she come back?
No. it was starting to get dark out, so I tried to call her.
Did she answer?
No, she wasn't picking up.
So what'd you do?
I just kept calling and calling.
Did you look for her?
Yes, I looked around our campsite. I ran down to the pond. I checked the tent 100 times.
Was she there?
No! No. I was screaming her name. She wasn't there.
Miss Ryder, when you couldn't find your daughter, what did you do?
I didn't know what to do. I wanted to call the police, but I couldn't.
Why not?
I didn't have custody of Parker. I thought that if I called the police, they would take me away from her again.
Miss Ryder, did you ever speak to the police?
The next morning, the police showed up at my tent. I told them that I didn't know where Parker was. I told them that she had left the campsite. I needed their help.
How did the police respond?
They arrested me. They took me to the police station and interrogated me. They accused me of killing my daughter. That's how I found out that Parker was dead.
Thank you, Miss Ryder. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
All right, thank you.
Permission to tender evidence to the witness? Excuse me, to the jury?
Yes. Thank you.
May I proceed? You may. Ms. Ryder, I understand this is difficult for you, but we need to talk about Parker, okay?
Okay.
Ms. Ryder, you were in prison for about 6 years, right?
Yes,
That was 6 years where you weren't seeing your daughter every day, right?
I couldn't see her, but I was writing to her as often as I could.
Ms. Ryder, that was 6 years where you weren't watching her grow up.
I did the best that I could given the circumstances, but no, I wasn't able to see her.
It was 6 years where you thought about your daughter every day, right?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Ryder, you spent 6 years imagining the life you would live with your daughter when you got out of prison. Right?
Yes,
It's fair to say you developed some pretty high expectations during those years, isn't it, ma'am?
no, I just wanted to be with Parker.
Ms. Ryder, part of this life you wanted to live with your daughter involves taking her on adventures, right?
I wanted us to do things together, of course,
You wanted her to go on adventures with you and overcome her disease, right?
to the best that she could. Of course, I wanted her to be strong and healthy.
You wanted her to go on adventures with you and overcome her fears, ma'am?
If she was capable of it, yes, of course, I wanted her to be a normal kid.
Now, this is something you didn't mention on direct examination, but that's actually a major reason why you took her to the LaCrone Loop Trail, isn't it?
Yes, I thought it'd be a good activity for her.
But ma'am, the truth is, when you actually took Parker on that trail, things didn't go the way you would imagine, did they?
Now what? Parker got a little frustrated at me, but we had a really nice time on that hike.
You say you had a really nice time, man. Let's talk about exactly what happened on the LaCrone Loop Trail. Now,
Okay.
Ms. Ryder, we can agree, the LaCrone Loop is pretty steep, right?
At points, it got a little steep.
It follows alongside the top of a cliff, isn't that true?
At one point, yes.
And on this steep trail that follows the top of a cliff, Parker started struggling, right?
No, Parker wasn't struggling with the trail.
Man, she slowed down.
She pulled out her phone at one point and started trailing behind a bit. Yeah, she did slow down.
She slowed down, she started complaining, right?
About the service, yes.
Man, she was complaining about the trail, wasn't she?
No, she was complaining about the service.
And she told you that she didn't want to be out on that trail in the first place, isn't that true?
Right, she wanted to be at the campsite because the campsite had service.
So she was complaining about the fact that you took her on that trail, right?
The fact that she couldn't use her phone, yes.
Now, you're talking a lot about Parker's phone, about service. You remember being interviewed, right?
Yes,
You talked about this part of the hike, about this argument you got into, right?
I answered Detective Chesney's questions, yes.
You never mentioned anything about cell service, did you?
It never came up.
Well, you were talking about that argument.
We were talking about that argument at one point, but he never asked about service on the trail.
All right, now, we can agree that when Parker started complaining, you actually got pretty frustrated with her, didn't you?
No, I never got angry at Parker.
You didn't get frustrated with her, man? Don't you remember thinking to yourself that she was giving up like she did on everything else? Remember thinking that?
I wanted her to keep going, but I was never frustrated at Parker.
Miss Ryder, you thought to yourself that she was giving up like she did on everything else? Those were your thoughts, right?
Yes, I wanted her to be strong and confident. I wanted her to do the hike, but it didn't frustrate me.
You're telling us that she never had trouble with the hike. Didn't you think to yourself that she needed to stop